speaking with Zoran, who is on the Apache Camel project. And Apache Camel, it's a fairly mature project. It's been around a long time, but I don't know whether our audience is going to be very familiar with it. So let's start with telling us what the project does.
Yeah, so as you said, it's now 11 years for Apache Camel, so a pretty long-lived project at Apache. So perhaps to set the stage a bit, so the problem that Apache Camel tries to address is system integration. And system integration is actually combining systems and data within systems and making them available to other systems. So, for instance, you might have a web shop. So you need to process payments, but you also need to ship via some shipping agent. So all of those bits that you have in orders, like products and details about customers, they need to go to these different places. So this might be different systems that need that data. And you might be thinking, oh, I'm just going to write this bit of code that integrates with this thing, and I'm going to write a bit of code that integrates with this thing. Then you come up with some problems that we already have solutions for. So things like managing throughput, or things like aggregating data from different sources and providing a unified version of that data, or data transformation, or a bunch of other things. And Apache Camel helps with this because it has a number of, we call them integration patterns. So there are about 60 or 70 of these already built into Camel. And it has a great deal of connectivity options, and we call these components. So if you want to talk to a payment processor, we probably have that already in Camel. It's a good bet that we have that in there. Or you want to talk to Twitter, or you want to interact with other software as service offerings out there.
It feels like this is a problem that will never be fully solved, because there's always new systems out there to integrate with. What are you all working on now?
Yeah, so a lot of focus going into Camel right now is about, so the world is going to cloud native technology. And we put a lot of effort into doing cloud native enablement in Camel. So things like service discovery. Or so there's this pattern called Hystrix. So the clients are kind of more reliable because they can handle errors better. Or things like deployment options that we have in Camel right now. And the talk I'm going to give goes a bit into IoT. So all these emerging things that are happening right now. So a bunch of these we already have in Camel, or we're working towards having more in Camel. Yeah. So anything that's basically emerging, because we see the demand for it, and then we try to accommodate for that demand.
For people that are developing new services, what can they do to make your job easier, or make other developers' jobs easier? I'm sure that over the years you've learned things that people do badly. So.
Yeah. So obviously, inventing your own protocol, that should not happen. I mean, if there's already an open standard, preferably an open standard, then please take advantage of that. So, like, there's a great open data component in Camel. So if you're exposing some data, you might consider exposing it using this open data way of doing things. Or we might just use a plain RESTful API, and Camel has great support for both serving and consuming REST APIs, but by all means don't invent a protocol or a data format or anything in that sense.
Yeah. Which of course we all do, right? So.
Yeah, it's the easiest thing to do, obviously.
Yeah.
But here Camel can also help, because if you have some data that you need exposed, so Camel is not only about consuming data from services, from data stores or something like that. It's also a way of exposing your data. So if you have a database, a proprietary perhaps database, and you want to have a RESTful interface on top of it, or you want to expose it, so microservices are a big deal right now, and everyone is talking about. You want to have events going from a data store to some message bus or message queuing system. You can do this with Camel, and we like to think it's quite easy to do things like this with Camel. So like your legacy applications, we kind of like to think that we can modernize them in a way and expose the data within them, liberate that data so it can be used from like modern development and modern methodologies and things like that. Yeah.
If our audience wants to get either involved in your project or to start using it, where do they get started? You have tutorials, where do you hang out on IRC, those sorts of things?
Yeah, so there's a website, it's somewhat outdated, and we're working on a new website, but there's a ton of documentation. That's camel.apache.org, camel.apache.org. There's a great deal of examples. So we have in our Git repository that's now mirrored on GitHub. We have tons of examples that you can look at. There are a number of books that you can look at. Some of them have free chapters online that you can kind of taste and peruse and see if this is something that you kind of think that you can learn from. And there are great talks and presentations that you can also, they're recorded on YouTube and that you can take a look at. We hang out on Freenode, so Apache-Camel on Freenode. We recently, it's been a couple of months, have also tried using Gitter or Jitter. I have no idea what's the correct pronunciation. And that's working out quite well. So we have people jumping in and helping each other and making it a bit more interactive, and that's working actually quite well. We didn't want to go like the proprietary route of Slack or something. Gitter seemed like a better, in our values, like a better option. There's a users mailing list. Of course, all Apache projects have a user mailing list. We have close to 1,000 users subscribed to the user mailing list, and committers and PMC members, of course, try to respond in their time that they have available to questions there, but we usually try to respond quite quickly and people get their answers. Yeah, there's the issue tracker. If you have an issue, please use it. And all of these things are linked from our website, and yeah, you can start there.
Also from this video, I will link to the video of your presentation at this event. So those should be published around about the same time, I expect.
Yeah, so the presentation is about using Camel in Internet of Things. Okay. And yeah, it's a basics of Camel and a bit of IoT demo on top of that. So anyone wishing to start might get some clues into what Camel really is and what are some basic principles behind Camel and what are these keywords that we're talking about, these patterns, components, and stuff like that. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Good luck, and good luck in your talk.
Awesome. Thank you.